Once, in a small fishing village nestled along a rugged coast, there was a boy named Arlen. Raised by the sea, he was as familiar with the tides and waves as most children are with the streets of their hometown. His father, a fisherman like his father before him, taught him that the sea was both a friend and a mystery, gentle when respected, unforgiving when ignored. One evening, as Arlen wandered alone by the shore, he heard a faint melody drifting from the waves. It wasn't the typical lull of the ocean, but something strange and beautiful, like a song only half formed, slipping in and out of hearing. Mesmerized, he waded into the water, trying to hear more clearly, but the melody vanished as soon as he took a step. Returning to the village, he told his father of the melody, but his father only shook his head. The sea holds many secrets, but it has never sung to me. Perhaps you only imagined it. Yet Arlen was certain he hadn't imagined it. Every night, he returned to the shore, waiting and listening. For weeks, the ocean remained silent. But then, one cold, clear night, the song returned, carrying on the wind. This time, it was closer, more distinct, a wordless whisper that tugged at his heart. Determined to uncover the mystery, Arlen set out at dawn, sailing alone toward the horizon where the sky met the sea. With only a small lantern and a bag of provisions, he sailed further than he'd ever dared, driven by the haunting tune. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Arlen's boat was enveloped in fog. The sea grew still, as if waiting. Then, from the mist, the song swelled, surrounding him with its strange beauty. And from the depths of the fog emerged a figure, half human, half creature, with eyes like the ocean itself, deep and knowing. "You have heard the song," the figure said, her voice both gentle and ancient. "Why do you follow it?" Arlen, awestruck, could only whisper, "Because it called to me." The figure smiled, her form shifting like water under moonlight. "I am Naya, the keeper of tides. Few can hear the song of the sea, and fewer still follow it. You have a pure heart, and so I offer you a gift, if you dare accept it." "What kind of gift?" Arlen asked, his heart racing. "The sea has stories that have never been heard and treasures that have never been found. I offer you the ability to hear its voice whenever you wish. You will learn the language of the waves, the secrets of the tides, and the whispers of the creatures below. But in return, you must promise never to use this gift for greed or harm." Arlen, filled with wonder, nodded without hesitation. "I accept." With a gentle wave of her hand, Naya touched Arlen's forehead, and he felt a warm, tingling sensation spread through him. The fog began to recede, and the keeper's figure faded with it, her voice lingering on the breeze. "Listen well, Arlen, for the sea has much to tell." When he returned to the village, everything felt different. The ocean's sounds were no longer random. They were filled with rhythm and language. Arlen could understand the waves as they crashed, each crest and break telling a tale. The song of migrating whales, the gossip of fish darting through kelp, the warning of storms brewing in distant waters. As time passed, the villagers noticed Arlen's strange connection to the sea. He seemed to know when storms would come and where the fish would be plentiful. People began to rely on his insights, yet he remained humble, never revealing the source of his knowledge. One fateful summer, a group of strangers arrived in the village. They were traders from a distant land, eager to exploit the village's natural bounty. Upon hearing of Arlen's abilities, they offered him gold and precious gems in exchange for his secrets. Arlen refused, warning them that the sea's gifts were not for profit. Angered, the traders dismissed him, setting out into the ocean with their large ships, equipped to fish more than the village had ever taken. For days, they harvested without restraint, and the sea began to grow restless. The tides rose higher than usual, and strange currents surged along the coast. Arlen, feeling the ocean's anger, went to the shore each night, pleading with Naya to calm the waters. But no answer came, only an ominous silence from the depths. Then, one night, as the traders prepared for another day's plunder, a fierce storm rolled in, more intense than any Arlen had seen. Waves crashed against the shore with fury, lightning split the sky, and winds tore through the village. The villagers sought shelter, watching helplessly as the traders' ships were tossed like driftwood. Amid the storm, Arlen ran to the shore and called out to Naya, "Please spare them. They may be greedy, but they are still human. Have mercy." Through the howling winds, Naya's voice rose, cold and stern. They were warned, yet they disrespected the sea. "Greed has consequences, Arlen." Desperate, Arlen fell to his knees. "Then take back your gift from me, but please let them live." The storm calmed, and Naya's figure appeared once more, her eyes filled with sorrow. "You would give up your gift, even after all it has brought you?" "Yes," Arlen replied, "for I have learned that the sea's true gift is life, not knowledge or power." Naya looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Your heart remains pure. I will spare them, but know this: the sea does not forgive easily. It watches and remembers." With that, Naya faded into the waves, and the storm abated. The traders' ships, battered but intact, limped back to the shore. They left the village the next morning, humbled and silent. After that night, Arlen found that his ability to hear the sea's voice had faded, but he no longer minded. He continued to live as he always had, fishing modestly and respecting the balance of nature. The villagers honored him, telling his story to every generation that followed, a tale of a boy who loved the sea enough to give up its secrets. The ocean remained a mystery to many, yet the villagers learned to listen to its rhythms, reading the tides and respecting its vastness. They remembered Arlen's sacrifice and Naya's warning, teaching their children that the sea was both friend and protector, as long as they honored its ways. And sometimes on quiet nights, if one listened closely enough, a faint melody could still be heard drifting from the waves, like a whispered song of gratitude, carried on the endless tides. Years passed, and Arlen grew old, yet his legacy remained alive in the hearts of the villagers. The story of his encounter with Naya, the keeper of tides, was woven into the village's traditions. Children would sit by the shore at dusk, hoping to catch a whisper of the sea's song, and the fishermen honored the waters, taking only what they needed and never more. One autumn evening, as Arlen rested on the shore watching the sunset, he heard a familiar, gentle melody drifting over the waves. It was the same song he had heard as a boy, the song that had called him to the sea so long ago. His heart quickened, and he rose slowly, gazing out over the water. From the horizon, a figure emerged, gliding smoothly across the shimmering surface. It was Naya, unchanged and radiant, her form as fluid and mesmerizing as the ocean itself. Her eyes, wise and knowing, locked onto Arlen's, and she smiled softly. "Arlen," she called, her voice like a warm breeze, "the sea remembers your gift. Your sacrifice has healed the bond between land and water. I have come to offer you one final blessing, if you wish to accept it." Arlen's eyes sparkled with curiosity and reverence. What blessing could a humble old man like me receive from the keeper of tides? Naya extended her hand, inviting him to come closer. "You have always honored the sea, Arlen. I offer you a chance to join the tides themselves, to become part of the song you once loved. You will be a guardian of the waves, watching over the village and guiding those who respect the waters." Arlen's heart filled with wonder, and a sense of peace washed over him. He had lived a long life, and the thought of becoming one with the sea, the very spirit that had called to him as a child, felt right. He took Naya's hand, and as he did, he felt a surge of energy, as though his body was merging with the rhythm of the ocean. With a serene smile, he closed his eyes, allowing the waves to carry him. His form dissolved into the shimmering water, and his spirit merged with the tide, becoming a part of the endless, flowing currents that end the years that followed. The villagers noticed subtle signs of Arlen's presence in the sea. Fishermen would find their boats gently steered away from storms, and children who strayed too close to dangerous cliffs were safely guided back to shore by a gentle wave. The villagers believed these signs were Arlen's spirit, watching over them as the sea's guardian. On quiet nights, when the moon hung low over the ocean, a soft melody would drift from the waves like a whisper of gratitude and love. It was the song of the sea, a reminder of Arlen's legacy and the harmony he had helped to preserve. The villagers taught their children to respect the waters, sharing Arlen's story so it would live on, passed from generation to generation. And so, Arlen's spirit remained with the sea, his heart forever woven into the tides. The village flourished in harmony with the ocean, its people guided by the gentle song that lingered on the breeze, a song that reminded them of a boy who once followed the call of the waves and found his true purpose in the heart of the ocean years later. The village held an annual celebration to honor the legacy of Arlen and their connection with the sea. Called the Keepers Festival, it took place every autumn, when the tides were strong and the ocean seemed to hum with life. Villagers would gather along the shore at dusk, lighting lanterns to float on the water, each light a tribute to Arlen, the boy who had become one with the waves. As the festival grew, the villagers began to incorporate their stories of Arlen into songs and dances, weaving together generations of tales. Children performed plays, reenacting Arlen's first encounter with Naya and his journey to the mysterious fog. Elders spoke of the strange melodies they sometimes heard at night, convinced it was Arlen's voice in the tides. One year, during the festival, a young girl named Mira, known for her curiosity and love of the ocean, stood by the shore, gazing at the lanterns floating on the waves. Myra's family told her stories of Arlen, and she admired his courage and love for the sea. That evening, as she listened to the songs and watched the lanterns drift, Mira thought she heard a faint melody rising above the music, a soft, gentle song that seemed to come directly from the ocean. Intrigued, Mira waded into the shallow waters, following the song. She could almost hear words within the melody, as if the waves were speaking to her. She felt drawn to it, much like Arlen had been, and in that moment, she whispered into the ocean, "Arlen, are you there?" The water rippled in response, and suddenly, a soft glow appeared below the surface. Myra's eyes widened as she saw a faint figure in the water, a kind face with wise, ocean-colored eyes. It was Arlen, his spirit part of the sea, watching over her with a gentle smile. "Mira," he whispered, his voice like a breeze on the water, "you have the same heart that led me to the sea. Remember that the ocean speaks to those who listen with love and respect. It has many secrets to share, but only with those who honor its ways." Mira felt a surge of warmth in her heart, realizing that she had been given a gift, the gift of understanding the sea, just as Arlen once had. She nodded, promising to respect the ocean and to protect the balance between land and water. Arlen's figure faded, but the song lingered, filling her with a deep sense of peace. Today, as Mira grew, her bond with the ocean only deepened. She felt its moods and rhythms, understanding its whispers as if they were words meant only for her. The villagers began to notice her abilities, marveling at her knack for predicting the tides, finding safe paths through storms, and knowing where the fish would be plentiful without ever using a net. Like Arlen before her, she became a guardian of the sea, a gentle guide and protector of the village's harmony with nature. She taught children to listen for the sea's song, to respect the waves and understand that they were part of a greater, living spirit. In time, Myra's story joined Arlen's in the village's folklore, and every year at the Keepers Festival, the villagers honored not only Arlen, but also Mira, the girl who had followed his path and kept his spirit alive. As generations passed, the village's traditions thrived, woven with tales of Arlen, Mira, and the mystical, eternal song of the sea. The ocean remained both friend and teacher, its whispers a reminder that, as long as they listened with open hearts, they would always be under the protection of their beloved guardians of the waves. Generations after Mira, the Keepers Festival remained a cherished tradition, celebrated with the same songs, dances, and lanterns that filled the village shore with light each year. The ocean, though unpredictable as ever, continued to sustain the village, offering its bounty to those who approached it with care. The stories of Arlen and Mira became legends, But the villagers' reverence for the sea remained steadfast, passed down from parents to children. One year, during the festival, a fierce storm blew in from the horizon. The villagers sought shelter in their homes, watching with apprehension as lightning flashed and thunder echoed over the waves. It was the kind of storm that the villagers had not seen in many years, and a wave of worry spread. Had the village somehow fallen out of the sea's favor? Amidst the turmoil, a young boy named Callan, who had listened wide-eyed to stories of Arlen and Mira since he could remember, felt a strange pull to go down to the shore. Braving the wind and rain, he ran down to the beach, clutching a lantern in his hands. He knew that it was risky to be by the water during the storm, but something within him urged him on. We reached the shore. Callan held up his lantern and spoke to the raging sea. "Arlen, Mira, please, protect us as you once did before. We honor the sea. We need your help now more than ever." At that moment, a brilliant flash of lightning illuminated the waves, and Callan saw a shape rising from the water. It was the figure of Naya, the keeper of tides, just as the stories described. Her eyes, deep and knowing, looked upon Callan with kindness and strength. Beside her, shimmering like specters woven from the very ocean itself, stood the faint figures of Arlen and Mira, their faces peaceful and calm. Naya's voice, like a song carried by the waves, spoke to Callan. "You have called upon the guardians, and they have heard you. Know this, child. The sea remembers those who show it respect and care. Your village has upheld the Pact of Harmony, and for that, the ocean shall continue to protect you." With a wave of her hand, Naya calmed the storm, the waves receding into gentle swells. The rain softened, and the clouds parted, revealing a sky filled with stars. Callan felt a deep sense of peace and awe as he watched the figures of Arlen and Mira smile before fading back into the SEI and the days that followed. Callan noticed something extraordinary near the shore where he had called upon the guardians. Embedded in the sand was a strange, shimmering stone, a starstone, as the villagers came to call it. The stone glowed with a faint, otherworldly light, shifting colors with the rhythm of the waves. The villagers took it as a gift from Naya and a sign of their enduring bond with the ocean. The starstone became a symbol of the village's gratitude and respect for the sea, and they placed it at the heart of the village. People believed it was a blessing, a reminder that they were watched over and protected by the spirits of the ocean. From then on, each Keeper's festival began with the lighting of the starstone, symbolizing the bond between the village and the sea. And every year, the villagers shared the tale of the starstone, of Callan's courage, and of the guardians whose legacy continued to protect them. The village thrived in harmony with the ocean for generations. Even as time passed and the original stories of Arlen, Mira, and Naya became ancient lore, the starstone's glow reminded them all that respect and gratitude for the natural world would forever bind them to the sea's gentle, protective spirit. And in the quiet moments, if one listened closely enough, the song of the sea could still be heard, soft, timeless, and filled with the memory of the village's eternal guardians. As time went on, the village prospered, and the starstone became a legendary relic, attracting curious travelers from distant lands. Some came seeking wisdom, others seeking fortune, but all were drawn to the starstone's gentle, unearthly glow and the mysterious tales of the sea's guardians. Over time, the village elders grew concerned. Too many visitors threatened the peaceful bond the village had with the ocean, as some travelers sought to take the starstone for themselves, believing it held magical powers. One stormy night, the starstone began to flicker, its light dimming as if responding to the village's growing unease. That night, as the villagers gathered around it, an elder named Siona stepped forward. She was wise and deeply in tune with the ocean's rhythms, having spent her life studying the ancient stories and listening to the whispers of the waves. The sea has given us this blessing, but we must remember that its gifts are not ours to hoard, Siona said. The starstone belongs to the ocean, and we must return it, lest we risk breaking the harmony our ancestors fought to protect. Though reluctant to part with the starstone, the villagers knew Siona was right. They crafted a beautiful boat, adorned with shells and woven seaweed, and placed the starstone carefully within it. The boat was set to sail with the tide, carrying the starstone back to the depths of the ocean. As they released the boat, the villagers sang an ancient song, one that honored Arlen, Mira, and all the guardians who had watched over them. The song rose and fell with the waves, each verse a promise to uphold the balance between land and sea. The boat drifted out to sea, the starstone's glow pulsing softly, almost as if it were alive, listening to the villagers' song. When it reached the open ocean, a calm descended, and the water grew impossibly still. From the depths, a shimmering light rose, illuminating the waves with a soft, radiant glow. Naya, the keeper of tides, appeared before them, her presence filling the air with a quiet strength. She raised her hand, and the starstone's light intensified, casting a warm glow over the entire village. Her voice echoed through the air, calm and filled with pride. You have remembered the lessons of your forebears. By returning the starstone, you have shown humility and respect, qualities that preserve the bond between land and sea. For this, I grant your village an eternal blessing. With a wave of her hand, Naya transformed a starstone into countless glimmering droplets that rained down on the village like stars. Each droplet held a small spark of the starstone's power, embedding itself in the soil, the water, and the hearts of the people. From that day forward, the village would always be in harmony with the sea, protected from storms and blessed with abundant harvests. Generations passed, and the village continued to thrive, watched over by the memory of Arlen, Mira, and the guardians of the sea. The descendants of the villagers, still taught to respect the ocean's gifts, found that they, too, could hear the gentle whispers of the sea. The ocean song, woven into the very fabric of the village, became known as the Eternal Song, a melody that could be heard by those who truly listened. At every Keepers festival, the villagers would light lanterns and cast them into the waves, honoring the guardians and the starstone's gift. And every night, as the last lantern drifted out to sea, the villagers could feel the presence of Naya, Arlen, Mira, and all the spirits who had become one with the waves, their voices forever part of the eternal song. The village knew that as long as they respected the ocean and remembered the guardians, they would always be in harmony with the sea, a timeless bond that no storm could ever break. And so, the song continued, an endless melody passed down through the generations, echoing the legacy of love, humility, and gratitude that had shaped their home. And if you listened closely enough, you could hear it still, a song of the sea, singing softly to those who cared to hear, its melody eternal, a whisper carried by the waves. Forever did I end the years that followed. The village's connection with the ocean deepened further. Children were taught from a young age about the eternal song, and some grew to develop unique abilities to understand the sea's moods and rhythms. They knew when a storm was approaching, could sense where fish were plentiful, and even felt the ocean's guidance when they were lost. One such child, a girl named Lyra, was known to have an especially strong bond with the sea. Since she was a small child, Lyra could hear the song more clearly than anyone else. She spoke to the waves, felt the tides in her heart, and often sensed the presence of the guardians. Villagers believed she had been blessed by Naya herself and watched over by the spirits of Arlen and Mira. One calm morning, as Lyra stood at the shore, she heard a new sound within the eternal song, a low, resonant hum that felt both ancient and familiar. It was as if the sea itself was calling her deeper, inviting her to explore the mysteries that lay beneath the surface. With a sense of excitement and a hint of apprehension, Lyra closed her eyes and listened carefully. The voice in the waves grew clearer, and she could almost make out words, guiding her to a hidden place, a sanctuary deep within the ocean, where ancient secrets of the sea lay untouched. Lyra felt the calling like a gentle pull on her heart, a whisper inviting her to seek out the wisdom of the ocean's depths. She shared her experience with the village elders, who gathered to discuss what this calling might mean. Some worried for her safety, but Siona, now a revered elder herself, believed it was a rare honor. "Lyra," Siona said gently, "the sea has chosen you to uncover its mysteries. The ocean has been our protector, and now it seeks a guardian who will carry its message into the future. This journey may be one only you can take." With the blessings of her village, Lyra prepared for her journey. She crafted a small raft, stocked it with simple provisions, and set out on the morning tide, following the melody that only she could hear. The ocean was calm, guiding her path, as if protecting her from the dangers of the open water. Days passed, and the hum of the song grew louder, leading her farther than anyone from her village had ever traveled. The water became clearer, revealing glimpses of vibrant coral reefs and mysterious, glowing creatures that danced in the depths. Eventually, she arrived at the edge of a deep trench, where the ocean floor dropped away into darkness. The song became a powerful pulse, resonating from within the trench. Lyra understood that this was where she was meant to go, and with a deep breath, she took her first step into the depths, the sea embracing her as if she were part of it. As she descended, the water around her began to glow, illuminating her path. She saw ancient carvings etched into the walls of the trench, stories told in symbols and patterns, depicting guardians who had come before, protectors of the ocean's balance and keepers of its secrets. Lyra realized that the song was an ancient memory, a connection linking generations of guardians through the depths of time. At the bottom of the trench, Lyra found herself in a vast underwater cavern. In the center was a large, shimmering crystal, glowing with a light similar to the starstone, though deeper and older. It pulsed with the song, its vibrations filling the cavern with an overwhelming sense of peace and wisdom. Lyra approached the crystal and reached out, feeling its warmth radiating through her hand. In that instant, the song enveloped her, flooding her mind with visions of the ocean's past, present, and future. She saw the guardians before her, Arlen, Mira, and countless others who had protected the ocean's balance, each one connected by this ancient crystal. She understood that she had been chosen to be the new keeper of this wisdom, a bridge between her village and the mysteries of the deep. The crystal imbued her with knowledge about the ocean's delicate balance and the role she would play in protecting it. Lyra returned to her village after several days, her heart filled with a profound sense of purpose. She shared her experience, describing the crystal and the ancient lineage of guardians that she had witnessed. The villagers listened in awe, understanding that the bond between their people and the ocean was deeper than they had ever imagined. With her newfound wisdom, Lyra became the village's guide and protector, teaching the next generation the importance of harmony with the ocean. She shared tales of her journey to the depths, reminding them that the sea was not only a source of life, but also a keeper of memories, bound to the village through the eternal song. Under her guidance, the village thrived, more attuned to the sea than ever before. And as the years passed, Lyra's legacy grew, her spirit forever part of a song that echoed through the waves, carrying with it the ancient wisdom of the ocean's depths. Thus, the cycle continued, as the sea found new guardians with each generation, their hearts attuned to the eternal song. And the village, forever guided by its bond with the ocean, flourished in harmony, their lives intertwined with the timeless rhythm of the waves. Years passed, and Lyra's teachings became foundational knowledge for the village. The people came to refer to her as the first Tidekeeper, honoring her as the one who bridged the human world and the ocean's wisdom. Lyra's descendants, known as the Tidekeepers, continued her work, guiding the village with a profound respect for the ocean's balance. Each Tidekeeper held a deep understanding of the sea's rhythms and carried Lyra's legacy of listening to the eternal song. As the village grew, so did the role of the Tidekeepers. They watched over the ocean, guiding the village through storms, times of drought, and moments of great change. The song became more than just a melody. It was their guide, a living force that flowed through each Tidekeeper, connecting them to the knowledge of every guardian who had come before. One day, a young Tidekeeper named Finn, who had just begun his training, felt a strange shift in the song. The once steady rhythm had become turbulent, filled with new sounds and whispers. Seeking guidance, Finn listened carefully, interpreting the subtle changes within the melody. He sensed that something was happening far beyond their shores, something that might disturb the delicate balance between the land and the sea. Finn approached the elder tidekeeper, Mara, who had served the village for decades. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, sensing his concern. "The song speaks of change," she said, her voice calm yet firm. "It is our duty to heed its warning. We must journey beyond our familiar shores to find the cause. Perhaps the sea is calling us to new lands." With the village's blessing, Finn and Mara set out on a long journey, navigating by the song's guidance. As they ventured farther than any tidekeeper had before, they encountered islands long abandoned, reefs teeming with life, and distant shores where people had never heard the eternal song. The song grew louder, leading them to a cluster of islands shrouded in mist, the Forgotten Islands, known in old legends but never visited. Upon reaching the shores of the islands, they discovered the remnants of a once thriving community. Ruins of ancient stone carvings lined the beaches, depicting guardians similar to those in the village's trench. These carvings, however, showed something ominous: great waves consuming the land and storms that tore villages apart. Finn felt a chill as he realized that these people had once been part of the same guardianship lineage as his own village, but something had happened to sever their bond with the sea. As they explored further, Mara found a small shrine, untouched by time, with a faded inscription in the language of their ancestors. She read aloud, her voice filling the air with solemn reverence. "To those who forsake the balance, the sea will rise and reclaim what was given. For it is both life and judge, and those who dishonor it will be brought to the depths." Mara and Finn understood the gravity of the message. The Forgotten Islands had once thrived in harmony with the sea, but over time, they had taken too much, forgetting the respect owed to the ocean. Their actions had caused the sea to withdraw its protection, and the islands were left desolate. Their people lost to history. With renewed resolve, Finn and Mara returned to their village, carrying a message of warning and a deepened understanding of their role. The villagers gathered as the Tidekeepers spoke of the Forgotten Islands, the dangers of forgetting their duty to the sea, and the consequences of breaking their ancient bond. The song, they reminded everyone, was not just a gift, it was a promise to honor and protect the ocean's balance. In a solemn ceremony, the villagers gathered on the shore to make a new oath. Together, they promised to respect the boundaries of the sea, to take only what they needed, and to always listen to the song's wisdom. Each Tidekeeper vowed to uphold the knowledge of the Guardians, ensuring that the village would never fall to the same fate as the Forgotten Islands. That night, as the villagers cast their lanterns into the water, the ocean responded with a brilliant display of bioluminescent waves. The village understood it as a sign. The sea had accepted their vow, and the song returned to its calm, steady rhythm. The village continued to thrive, each generation renewing the oath and cherishing their bond with the ocean. The Tidekeepers passed down the stories of the Forgotten Islands, teaching children that their respect for the sea was not only about survival, but also about preserving a harmony that connected them to all life. And as long as they kept their promise, the eternal song would guide them, a timeless melody linking their village to the depths of the ocean and the guardians of the waves who would forever watch over them as the years passed. Word of the Tidekeepers spread beyond the village. Travelers and storytellers who visited the village took tales of the eternal song, the Starstone, and the ancient pact with the ocean back to distant lands. In faraway villages and islands, people began to listen more intently to the sea, heeding the wisdom of the Tidekeepers. One summer, a strange group arrived at the village's shore, emissaries from other coastal settlements. They carried symbols from their own lands, depicting waves, tides, and guardians of the sea. Each visitor shared stories of their home's unique connection to the ocean, describing how they, too, had learned of the consequences of disrespecting the waters. Moved by the visitors' tales, the Tidekeepers saw an opportunity to build something greater. Mara, now the village's respected elder, gathered the visitors and proposed a gathering of guardians, a meeting of all coastal peoples who respected the sea and wanted to uphold its balance. The guardians of each village would meet once a generation to share knowledge, stories, and new wisdom gained from the ocean. Together, they would ensure that no village fell into forgetfulness like the people of the Forgotten Islands. The first gathering took place under the light of a full moon, as guardians from across the coastlines convened on the village shore. They formed a circle on the sands, each bringing a symbol of their home's connection to the sea. Some held small carvings of ocean creatures, others brought vials of seawater, and a few offered pieces of coral and shells unique to their lands. They placed these items together, creating a circle of ocean treasures, a symbol of their united pact. As the tide rose, Mara led a ceremony, inviting each guardian to speak the oath their village had made with the sea. Each guardian stepped forward, adding their voice to the collective promise to respect the ocean's gifts, protect its creatures, and always listen to its wisdom. Together, they spoke the words that would become known as the Pact of the Deep, an oath that bound them all to the ocean's timeless rhythm. In response, the ocean stirred, the waves rising and falling as if alive, mirroring the pulse of the eternal song. As the pact was sealed, the waves around them began to glow, casting a radiant light over the circle of guardians. The ocean had accepted their promise, and each guardian felt the weight of its blessing. The gathering became a regular tradition, strengthening the bond between the coastal villages. Each time, guardians shared tales of the sea's wonders and mysteries, their words carried back to distant lands. The Pact of the Deep grew stronger, uniting generations of guardians in their duty to uphold the balance between land and ocean. The village became known as the home of the Tidekeepers, the protectors of the eternal song. People from far and wide came to learn from them, hoping to bring the wisdom of the sea back to their own shores. With each generation, a new Tidekeeper would rise, carrying on Lyra's legacy and strengthening the bond between their people and the ocean. Finn, now a wise and seasoned Tidekeeper, often found himself reflecting on how the Pact of the Deep had changed the village and the world beyond. The sea, once a source of fear and uncertainty, was now a symbol of life and interconnectedness, a reminder that all beings were bound by the same rhythm. As he gazed out over the water, Finn felt the eternal song resonate within him, as strong and steady as ever. The song was a reminder that the ocean's mysteries were endless, and as long as there were guardians to listen, the wisdom of the sea would live on. And so, the legacy of the Tidekeepers endured, a tale passed from generation to generation, echoing through the waves as a promise never to be forgotten. The song, forever flowing, bound their village and every coastal land in an eternal dance with the ocean, a timeless harmony that connected the living with the ancient depths of the sea.